കാണാവോ?
അത് ഇപ്പൊ ഇരിക്കുന്ന അച്ഛന്റെ സ്റ്റില്ലാണോ അതെയോ?
ഇല്ല, ഞാനിപ്പം ഗോ ലൈവ് ആണ്.
അല്ലേ? കാണാം കാണാം. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ കട്ട് ചെയ്യാം കേട്ടോ.
ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു. ഫിലഡൽഫിയ is known as city of love. അപ്പോൾ ഫിലഡൽഫിയയിലെ ബ്രദർലി സിസ്റ്റർലി സ്നേഹത്തിൽ കഴിയുന്ന എല്ലാവർക്കും ഈശോമിശിഹായ്ക്ക് സ്തുതിയായിരിക്കട്ടെ. എൻ്റെ പേര് ഫാദർ സനിൽ മയിൽക്കുന്നേൽ. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മിക്കവർക്കും തന്നെ പരിചയമുണ്ട്, പള്ളിയിലൊക്കെ പലതവണ വന്ന് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മുമ്പൊന്നും ഇല്ലാത്ത വിധത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു, as they call it, we are passing through something called the unprecedented times. So ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ ഇന്നൊരു അല്പനേരം we are trying to spend some time together reflecting on our faith and our mental health in the context of the coronavirus, the COVID-19 pandemic. So a very warm welcome to one and all to this little webinar, as they call it. So particularly welcome to all of our parishioners from the SyroMalabar Catholic Forane Church, Philadelphia. Okay, so basically in this presentation, I'm trying to present before you 7 wellness tips. So 7 is a biblical number, a number that indicates wholeness, completeness. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു പലയിടത്തു നിന്ന് എടുത്ത പോയിന്റ്സ് എല്ലാം കൂടെ ഒരു 7 points ആയിട്ട് I'm trying to present. First and foremost, at the outset of the presentation, I would like to thank Father Vinod Madatiparambo, the pastor, who took the initiative for this. And he works in tangent with a group called the Family Wellness Core Group, which is a WhatsApp group, and there are members like Dr. Bindu Medikalam and Dr. Melvin, and there are others, Brother Joby, if you remember him. So all these people are part of this core group, and they thought in these times it is important that our people get to know some idea about caring for ourselves. So I thank them, the committee, the Family Wellness Group, for their inspiration and their support and inviting me over to do this presentation. And also, I would like to especially thank Mr. Jose Thomas for all the technical assistance he gave. This talk was originally supposed to happen at noon, 12 noon this afternoon. Technical issues, it did not happen, so we tried a lot. Unfortunately, it did not work out. So we had to kind of reschedule it to evening 6 o'clock. And thank you very much for your flexibility. And thank you everyone for being here. And for our presentations here, I mainly took inspiration from the Family Wellness Group, as well as St. Luke's Institute. They cater mainly to religious and priests and lay people for their services. So they have some good resources in their website. Then I also looked up at some of the resources that are provided by the World Health Organization, WHO, and also a lot of material provided by UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. So culling various ideas together from all these various resources, I'm putting together about 7 wellness points. Before we go into the 7 wellness points, I would like to make just a suggestion that at the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to type in the area called the live chat. If you can type up your questions or your comments or your opinions, if there is time, we can definitely address them. Or Vinodachan was also mentioning that if there are more questions or significant concerns to address, we can do that at a later session as well. So moving on. We are passing through, as I mentioned, something called chronically difficult times. They are called chronically difficult times because this is not a difficulty that passes in a day or 2 or a week, or we don't know, even a month. So it's chronic, it's going to last for a while. So in situations like this, whether it is a big war zone or war situation or any other major challenges like this, we all tend to have very normal certain reactions. For example, some of those reactions like PTSD symptoms, like post-traumatic stress disorder. If you have had a major trauma or a stress, naturally you will have certain intrusive thoughts, certain flashback memories, certain nightmares, certain physical symptoms like pain, nausea and stuff. So those are something very typical that people can experience these days. Secondly, a very common symptom that most people might feel is depression, because it's so saddening, it's so difficult, so many uncertainties, so many losses. We hear so many difficult news from all over the world. So people can feel symptoms of depression. Anxiety, of course, a lot of anxiety symptoms because there are so many things which are uncertain. We are not sure what is happening. We have here, for specifically, a pandemic that doesn't have a cure yet. Nobody has found out any effective vaccine. It's difficult to contain. The symptoms are difficult to contain. People are really, really struggling. So it's very difficult. So a lot of anxiety symptoms can be there. A lot of people, as a result of all these, might also experience sleep disturbances. Your sleep may be affected. You may not be able to get sleep properly. That might affect a lot of other mental states. Then plenty of confusion. There is no dearth of confusions here. With all the news that are coming in, plenty of confusions. Then there is fear. Then there is anger. Then there is frustration. We also, very importantly, Vinodachan was mentioning, and I think it is very, very pertinent to address here, that many in our community might also feel a sense of guilt. Guilt because number of our people are working in medical settings. ആശുപത്രികളിലും രോഗികൾ ഇങ്ങനെ കൊറോണ വൈറസ് ബാധിച്ച ആളുകളുമായിട്ടൊക്കെ നേരിട്ട് ഇടപെടുന്ന ഒരുപാട് മെഡിക്കൽ പ്രൊഫഷണൽസ് are among us. So they are frontline workers putting themselves at the risk, caring for the sick and those who are in need. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോൾ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ they will have a natural fear, anxiety and tension and worry that am I a potential carrier of the disease? Am I going to pass on the disease back when I get home to my children? Or to a number of us have our parents with us, senior immunity compromised seniors with us. Am I going to pass on the disorder to those people if I'm a carrier? So that naturally induces a sense of fear, anxiety and guilt. So this is very legitimate feeling. And secondly, with all the schools closing down, all the major businesses and everything closing down except the essential services, we have plenty of free time in our hands. What to do with all this free time? We are not used to handling so much free time. That itself can lead to a lot of confusion and frustration. Then, Sitting idly at home without going out, without meeting people, can also lead to boredom, which in effect can also lead to depression and anxiety. So, all these are natural reactions. First and foremost, let me tell you, these are natural reactions. You are not alone feeling this way. If you are feeling this way, you're not alone, and you are not part of a few that are feeling it. Lot many people are feeling it. It is very natural. It is very, very normal. First and foremost, please be mindful of that. Okay, so having accepted our context this way, I think one thing that can really help us here is there are three mandates for anything given by Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a famous business person and is a motivational speaker, California based. He has built a kingdom of his own in the sense. So he has three mandates for anything in one of his talks. So I thought those three great principles are very, very relevant for us here. The first principle first mandate that Tony would introduce is like any situation, see it as it is, not worse than it is. Okay? See any situation as it is, not worse than it is. Yes, just as we said, it is a pandemic. It is all over the world. It's a concern of all the living human beings. And we have not found any effective cure for this yet. It is a difficult situation, and all of us are feeling the anxiety, tension, and worry. See it as it is, but not worse than it is. We have encountered, as the history of humanity has encountered, so many different challenges. So many lives have been lost, but that is not the end of the world. Life has moved on. Humanity has continued. So we will do with this same pandemic as well. We will move on. This is not going to be the end of the world. I know it is difficult. We are going to face certain challenges, but so this is what is called seeing it as it is, not worse than it is. This is important because with all the information that we receive through our social media, we can naturally see things as worse than they are. We will come to that in detail a little later. So the first mandate that Tony Robbins gives us is like, see it as it is, not worse than it is. The second mandate that he gives is, see it better than it is. Okay, it is difficult, it is challenging, but how can it be better? What would make it better? So creative visualization of how the situation can be better. Each one of us, we have our individual lives, our life as a family, and life as a community. In all these situations, given the context of this pandemic, how can we make things better? How can we feel better? How can we do things better? So that is the task, that is the second mandate. See it better than it is. See it as it is. Secondly, see it better than it is. And the third mandate Tony gives us, make it the way you see it. The second way, make it the better way that you see it, because you have visualized how to make it better. Now you're going to work towards making it better. So that is the basic framework that I would introduce to put things in perspective. See it as it is. Secondly, see it better than it is, and make it the way you see it. So keeping this broad framework of putting things in perspective, we move on. So once again, let me tell you, I'm not a doomsday sayer, but let's be real. Let's be real, let's face it. It is possible that you, me, your children, your family might start feel symptoms of this at some point. It is a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It might happen. It is a possibility. Let's be real. Let's face it. That's the fact. So that is what we are saying by seeing it as it is. And naturally, we will have the anxiety. Oh my God, what happens? Then that is where we are seeing it as it is by looking at the pattern. It is mostly affecting people who are immunocompromised. A lot of people, thousands and thousands of people all over the world have recovered successfully from this infection. So that is what is called seeing as it is. Then the anxiety that we feel is real. It's normal. Anxiety is not a mental disorder in itself. It can be when it becomes too much. But otherwise, anxiety is a natural, healthy emotion or a reaction, response that we have, because that helps us to be prepared. That helps us to be alert to the danger that is lurking around. that helps us to take steps to make ourselves safe from the danger that we are perceiving. So anxiety in itself is not a bad thing. How we handle it can be a little difficult. So, and third fact I would say, based on this, our framework is like, for all those who are working in mental health professions or health professions, I would say, let's be real. Okay, you are putting yourself in danger. It is a difficult situation. And if not you, who will care for all these people who are in need of help? You are doing a great humanitarian service. Forget about your salary and stuff. That is there. Those incentives are there. But you are doing something very courageous, very bold, and it is natural that you feel anxious. It is natural that you feel guilty. But I would suggest, please don't feel guilty about it, because guilt doesn't help us. What you can do is how to be prepared in this situation. Do everything that you can in your care to care for those whom you care when you come back home. So that is what basically we say, like, wash your hands, keep the social distance, and like, don't touch your face, all these things, whatever precaution that we can take them. So the three things that you can do to assure your family: first and foremost, empathize with the members of the family if they are telling you that they are fearful for your safety. They're fearful that you might pass on the disorder to them. Empathize with them. Accept that it is a genuine feeling. It is a genuine concern. Secondly, reassure them. Yes, it is a genuine concern. At the same time, we are trying to do everything that we can to take care of it. We are taking all the possible precautions. Reassure them, encourage. And the third step that you can do is encourage them. Encourage them to take care of themselves, protect themselves, and do all the basic things that they need to do. Washing your hands, keeping the social distance, and not touching your face without clean hands. So basically, empathize with the concerns that people share with you. Reassure them, okay, we are taking whatever we can, all the measures. Thirdly, encourage them to do whatever they can do. So that is what we must do basically. And one more thing that is very helpful is like, handling problems we can approach them in two different ways. First, by dividing them into two categories. The first category is like, about this particular problem, what are things that I can do? And category two, what are things that I cannot do? So with regard to this pandemic, there are a number of things that we can do by taking care of ourselves. There are so many things we cannot do anything about. Categorize these two and identify these two and handle them accordingly. Okay, there are so many things we cannot do anything about. It can provoke anxiety, but be realistic, be aware that it is the situation. And we have to find meaning in this situation. We will do the meaning making a little later, but basically we have to find meaning in all that is happening. And remember, intelligence and creativity are closely associated. As psychologists would say, intelligence and creativity are closely associated. So who is clearly intelligent? Is it someone who can rote learn and stuff? No. Intelligence comprises of the difference between serial thinking and parallel thinking. Serial thinking is something happens, the natural reaction responses, that's what we do. That is serial thinking. And parallel thinking would involve, when something happens, when a crisis happens, what are different ways in which I can tackle this? Rather than going in the narrow vision, think divergent thinking. Think of different various options. That is called creativity. That is called intelligence. So let's be intelligent people in handling that. So basically, putting all these things in perspective, I want to move on to the 7 wellness points that I would like to present to you this evening. The first, get your facts right. We briefly dwelt with it earlier, but the idea is like, with the social media, plenty of information out there, with all the social print and television media, a lot of information out there, but try to rely on reliable sources of information like cwc.gov. Official government sites, check them for official information. Then whatever your local government gives out, those information you check, rather than relying on the WhatsApp university, as they call it, or Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media. Always look for the authenticity of the information. Try to do a fact check when and where possible. And while you're doing all this, try not to do a deep dive into any of this. Processing it too much, overthinking is not going to help. You need to be informed legitimately as much as it is required, but don't do an overdive. Get your facts right. That leads us to the second point. Notice the use of social media. I know Philadelphians would remember, like, this is one of my favorite themes whenever I preach. That somehow I end up going into the social media. Forgive me, I'm doing that again. Believe only credible information. So many things are being dumped into your inbox or WhatsApp message, your app. A lot of people are dumping in a lot of information, but don't believe anything and everything that you see, because some of them are fake news. Favorite word of our president, fake news. Then another good thing that each one of us individually can do is like refuse to forward without fact checking, without being sure that it is true. At least we can contribute our little mite to the influx of fake information. Don't forward anything that you don't feel convinced about, you don't feel good about, or you don't feel authentic about. Please don't forward them. And third point under notice the use of social media is to limit and provide yourself and the family alternatives. Naturally, parents would ask me the question. I know youngsters would ask me this question. We are stuck at home. We have no regular structures. We don't have anywhere to go. We have plenty of free time. What else but to do the social media? Yeah, I know it is true. We have a lot of free time, but minimize the social media use, because minimizing the screen time is good for your overall health, first and foremost. Secondly, just telling people not to use social media is not enough. We must also think of what are the alternatives that we can think of. What are the various other options that we have to creatively use our time? That is each family's responsibility, each family's quest to see how you can use your time more effectively. Then we move on to our third point. Stay connected socially. Remember, we were speaking of seven wellness points. The first one is get your facts right, minimize or notice your social media use, and the third point is stay connected socially. Two dimensions to this staying connected socially. First and foremost, communication within the members of the family. This is a golden opportunity to work on it and improve upon it. There are two levels of communication. One is expression, one is containment. Think of our little kids. They have a lot of information coming in through various channels, various sources, and they need to express it. Some kids are very expressive. Naturally, they are very expressive, and they will come and tell you whatever you want to know, or whatever they think or feel, they will come and tell you. But there are certain kids who won't be that expressive. To such kids, parents and the other elders in the house should make sure that you ask them how they are feeling, what are they hearing, what are they reading, what are you feeling worried about, what are you feeling happy about. Ask them, encourage them to express. Then there is the second dimension, and express, and then there is also the element of containment. There are so many things going on. You don't have to share about everything that you feel. So there is also an ability to contain certain information, certain difficult information. We have to take care of that as well. That is internally within the family. The second point that I would suggest is make a contact list of all those people whom you want to be in touch with outside your family, maybe your relatives, friends, folks back home in India, or all over the US, wherever they are. Make a list of all those people with whom you have not been able to be in touch for a long while, who you always wish to be in touch with. Make a list of all those people. Try to reach out to them. Schedule a little time that works for both of you, and encourage in that conversations. I recently met with a family here, American family. There are 5 boys there in the family, and they are all stuck at home, naturally and obviously. So what the mother has made sure is like, each day of the week, Monday through Friday, she would make one of the boys to call up their grandparents and talk to them, short conversations. And with the warning that, this is not going to be a regular feature until the pandemic is over. We will do this. Maybe once we get back to our normal rhythm, we may not be able to do this. So reaching out. So this is also a way to connect different generations. So think of creative ways in which you can stay connected socially. This is one good way we are being connected to each other. Being far away in our own homes and different places, we are getting connected to each other. So that's a good thing. So stay connected socially. Of our 7 wellness points, the first one is get your facts right. Notice your social media use. The third one is like stay connected socially within the family as well as with your people around you in your life. Fourth point that I would suggest is maintain a regular rhythm and structure. We are all used to going by structure, going by a rhythm, whether we are working or whether we are students or whether we are whichever sphere of life we are all somehow used to a structure. That structure keeps us going. And that is what has terribly been upset now. Because of the pandemic, all of us are into a structureless state, except those who are regularly working. So when we have a structure, we do a number of things in order, in a sequential order. Try to maintain that structure a little more. First and foremost, begin with the regular bed timings. Go to bed at a regular time. Wake up at a regular time. First and foremost. Natural tendencies, oh, I don't have anything to do in the morning, so let me sit up till late night and work or watch movies and then wake up late in the day. That will put us in a very, very irregular rhythm and structure and schedule. So let's have a regular bedtime. Secondly, set up work and personal tasks and goals. For your work, many of you are working from home, so you will have work-related tasks and goals to achieve. Set up tasks and goals for each day. Try to achieve them. Secondly, set up personal tasks and goals for yourself. That will also help to get done a lot of things. And another helpful suggestion is break your day into 1 to 2 blocks. Break your day into 1 to 2 hour blocks rather than doing things whenever and wherever you feel like. Have a regular rhythm. Okay, I get up at this time, then I do all my morning duties, and then I do my breakfast, then I have this much of time for serious work. When I'm working, maybe kids also can work on their school work. So have a regular rhythm. Have regular breaks after 1 hour or after 2 hours. Have these blocks and units. Then, one thing, it might sound a little silly, but then very important, even though you are at home and nobody's going to see you, good to dress up a little bit. Because we are used to dressing up when we go for work. So why don't we dress up at least for part of the day when we are doing our significant, sincere work? Dress up. That will make you feel active and alive and as if you're doing something creative, interesting. So dress up. Do some makeup, ladies. That will also help. Then it is also a good time when we have extra time to do something like mindfulness exercises. There are plenty of mindfulness apps and resources available online. Make use of them. Every day, try to find at least 15 to 20 minutes of your own personal time. Sit alone with you. The importance of that will come to our next point. I'll come to that in a little while, but resourcefulness. A lot of mindfulness resources are available. Meditation techniques are available. Make use of them. Grow into a habit of looking into yourself. My next point is stay physically active. Those who have done science and those who are in the medical field and others would know the importance of endorphins and exercises. Endorphins are basically the feel-good chemicals in our body. When we exercise, a lot of endorphins are released, and that will make us naturally happy. We have all heard of runner's high, those who are running marathons or long runs. Once they do that, the body releases a lot of endorphins, which naturally makes them feel good. They feel a kind of euphoria, which is called the runner's high. So that is a simple example to say how much exercise is important for us in our daily living. So take care of your exercises. Do something. I know it's limited. We cannot go out as much as we would like to, but explore, be creative, find creative different ways in which you can exercise every day. And avoid being excessively lethargic and just being a couch potato. Move around. Get your steps every day, some way or the other. Get your steps. Keep yourself physically active. That will naturally make you feel good. And the next point is finding ways to help others. You need to find ways to help others. I know we cannot go out of our family. We are so limited, restricted within our home environment, but still there are so many things we can do. Given your area, given your constraints, there are so many ways in which you can connect to others. There are so many people in need of help around us. Helping others, reaching out to those in need, gives us a sense of purpose and meaning. That is a basic Christian calling as well, right? So that gives us a sense of purpose, finding ways to help others. And my next point is always do a personal engine check. We all are used to driving, so in our car, when the engine needs to be checked up, like there is a light comes up, right? So this is also a time to look into, see the personal engine check light. We need to listen to our bodies. We need to listen to our heart. We need to listen to our mind. In our frantic, hectic daily schedule of our living with work and family responsibilities and a lot of things, we quite often kept it aside. Even when we felt that I should pay attention to myself, we have kept it aside. We have not looked into ourselves. We have not listened to ourselves. We have not taken enough care of ourselves, most of us. So this is a great God-given opportunity that way to look into yourself and listen to yourself and see what you can do, what more you can do, what way you can take care of yourself. So finding that personal time, finding that personal insight into your own lives to make yourself feel better, to personal time, improve upon, taking care of some of your basic health concerns, taking care of some of your emotional concerns. This is a good time to do that. So remember to do a personal engine check. And my final point would be family building. We are all stuck in this together, whether we like it or not. So let's make the best of it. That is the Tony Robinson principle, right? See it as it is. Okay, we are stuck together. So see it better than it is. How are we seeing it better than it is? How can our family life become better? How can we gel together as a unit? How can we make our family life in such a way that it functions smoothly like a well-oiled machine? What more do we need to do? What more do we need to care for one another? What more do we need to communicate with each other? Do a lot of brainstorming. Sit together. This is also connected with the earlier point of limiting your social time. This is one of the alternatives that we can consider to our excessive social media use, if at all we are using it. Like sit together as a family, maybe around the dinner table, maybe in the front parlor or wherever you can sit together without turning on any of the screens. Just start looking at the faces of each other and start looking at each other and start having heart-to-heart conversations. It's a good time to communicate to one another how much you care for each other, how much you value each other, how much of a blessing each one of you are to one another. This is a good time to get that family time together. I remember last night, actually, I did a Zoom mass with my immediate family back in India. It felt so weird at the beginning, but later on, after about an hour at the end of the mass, and when we were in that conversation, it felt so real. It felt so cool, so good to be in touch with them. So this is a good time. We are organically present to one another in our families. So try to reach out, try to interact, try to communicate, share positives as well as difficulties, areas of improvement. So this is a good time to build up your family. And dear parents, remember this is also a great occasion for us to incorporate our children into the running of the family. Entrust them with the responsibilities of running the family. Some of the household chores which you end up doing every day, share it with them because that is also a way of keeping your children engaged. And it is not just to keep them engaged. You are in a way training them for the future. You are training them for the man and the woman that they need to be later on when they grow up. You are making them part of running the family. They are feeling much more belong to the family. Quite often we end up giving everything to our children. We work in and out to provide everything that the children need. But that doesn't cultivate necessarily a sense of belonging to them. When they feel part of the running of the family, when they feel that they are entrusted with responsibilities, when they are consulted, when they are trusted, they will start relating to you much more. They will love you much more. They will feel for your suffering, feel for your pain, feel for you all that you're doing to them. Incorporate them into the running of the family. This is a great opportunity. Okay, so these are my points, 7 wellness points. First and foremost, get your facts right. Use all the official media. Don't rely on all unevidenced information. Secondly, notice the use of your social media time. give yourself and the family alternatives rather than just saying, don't use it. What else to use? What else to do? Give them the alternatives. Give yourself the alternative. Stay connected socially within your family and also with all your near and dear ones, people whom you have not been in touch with, whom you wanted to be in touch with. Maintain a regular rhythm and structure for your life. Though we are all used to structures. So get back some of those structures. Brainstorm with your family how to bring about a better structure for your family life. Stay physically active. Get your endorphins running. Feel good about doing exercises and active. Find creative ways to help others. Given the restrictions, constraints, find ways to help others. Seventh point, sixth point, personal engine check light. Check your personal engine. Is there anything more that I need to do to take care of myself? My physical health, my emotional health, my mental health? Make use of all the resources. Finally, family time. It's a great time to build your family together as a unit, sharing with one another, caring for one another. And I would like to end this presentation with a challenge. I would challenge, this is like, I don't know if we can even design it by like the ice bucket challenge or anything, but personal challenge. Try to keep a journal, a gratitude journal. Every day before you go to bed, write down with the date, write down 3 things or 3 experiences or three people you are grateful for in your life that day. The next day, add something new, something different. So keep building your gratitude journal because these are things that keep us going. So that is my challenge to you. Keep a gratitude journal every day, 3 things, 3 persons, 3 experiences, or whatever that you're grateful for. And finally, we are people of hope. Our basic Christian values or principles that we rely on are faith, hope, and love. Remember Viktor Frankl, who wrote the famous book Man's Search for Meaning? He was in one of the concentration camps under the Nazis. He was in a very small cell, contained and kind of locked down for so many years. And you know what gave him hope and meaning? There was a little hole on the cell of his wall through which he could see the sky a little bit. A little bit of light used to come in. That was his hope. Even when everything else was dark, that little piece of light, little light that was coming in gave him hope. And he kept at it. So out in the horizon, there is light. There is hope. Even in this pandemic, when things are difficult, we are anxious, we are worried. There is light out there. There are so many good things happening. Keep our eyes open to experiences of hope and life and faith and love. We hear a lot of stories about people caring for one another and sacrificing their lives for one another. We heard from Italy how a number of Achans, like priests, religious, and others, and a lot of lay people have given up their lives for others who are in better need. So all these beautiful light stories of light we are hearing, store them up, take them in, and let them build our hope as well. In the Old Testament, we have the famous story of Job, the book of Job. He had everything, then he lost everything with the kind of a pandemic at the time. He lost everything. Then he and his friends argued with one another. Then they argued with God. Finally, when God started speaking started putting things in perspective, the only thing that Job had left to do was silent admission. Silent admission that I'm not in charge. I'm not in control. But Job realized there is someone up above or the absolute almighty who is in control. We need to go in for that silent admission. There are so many things which don't make sense, so many uncertainties, but we don't know where we are going, but we know who has held our hands. That is a confidence as Christians we should have. And let's take the side of Mother Mary, who has been an incredible witness and a great source of inspiration. She is known as the first disciple, the first true Christian, because she said yes. Remember, we are going to enter the Passion Holy Week soon. We are passing through the Lenten season. After the horrific crucifixion, the Good Friday, there was a long day of waiting, the Holy Saturday. So many others went to check on the grave, but we never hear anywhere that Mother Mary went to check on the grave. She just waited. She waited patiently in faith, hope, and love. She knew that there was resurrection coming up. So let her be our model. We are passing through a phase of Good Friday, and we are also passing through a phase of long Saturday, Holy Saturday, of waiting. We don't know when it's going to end. But our faith tells us that at the end, there is resurrection. At the end, there is hope. At the end, there is light. Let's hang on to that hope. And I would like to end with the famous words from Prophet Habakkuk. You have heard it in so many retreats and stuff, but let me repeat that to you. Let us make the confidence and the trust and the prayer of the prophet our own. Pray with me. Habakkuk chapter 3, verses 17 to 19. Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, though the olive crop fails, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen, and no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights. Yes, we are facing a steep climb of uncertainty, difficulty, confusion, frustration, fear. But let's trust in the Lord. He gives us meaning. He gives us a sense of identity. We are children of the Heavenly Father, and He has got our back. He has got us covered. We don't know the ways in which God will work, but we know He will definitely work. That is the message Pope Francis gave us on the Urbi et Orbi prayer service the other day. He was saying we are like in a rocking boat, and we see that we feel that the Lord is asleep. We cry out like the disciples, "Oh Lord, are you not seeing that we are perishing?" With that earnestness, when our life is in danger, let's pray with that earnestness to the Lord. Lord, we know you care for us, but are you not seeing that we are perishing? We are struggling. Please be with us. Come and save us. That is the confidence and trust we must have. So once again, that's all I want to present today. I know it has been a little long. Thank you very much, but you're welcome to ask any questions or comments or anything in the live chat section. You can just type it. I can read it aloud and answer if there is anything. Otherwise, if there are more questions, you can let the pastor or anybody else know, and we can address it in a later session. Thank you very much for your patience, and thank you for being here. And I see almost about 86 people are here. That's wonderful. Please hang in there. We have a Lord who got us, who got our back. He will take care of us. Meanwhile, let's do whatever we can to take care of ourselves, our near and dear ones, and all those who are entrusted to our care. God bless you, and thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to be with you. Thank you. I'll wait for a few minutes for any questions, comments. Yeah, thank you. I have a brief PowerPoint of this presentation, so I have sent it to Vinod Achin. Those who want can reach out to Achin and he will give it to you, pass it on to you. Thank you. I guess there are no questions or comments, so I'll end the presentation here. Thank you so much for your time. You're all in my prayers. Let's keep each other in our prayers. God bless. I'm ending the streaming now. Thank you.